Australia is no stranger to animals that do things differently. The denizens of this large island often have to carve their own path. It's not surprising that the continent's animals are often as intrepid and undaunted by challenges as its people. But innovations and the skills to use them is how some creatures choose to wrangle their goals in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal info, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
And today we're talking about a spider that's truly magnificent. But more on that in, I guess, a few minutes, or like maybe less than that.
Yeah, it's the magnificent spider. It's the one and only. When I was thinking about this, I was like, this is the magnificent spider?
In Australia. Like, they're a place known for spiders.
Yeah, I would think that, like, I don't know, the Black Widow, the most famous and recognizable of spiders, would be the magnificent spider or something like that. But nope.
Or something more colorful or something like that.
This looks pretty colorful.
In that sense. Yeah. I think it looks like crap. More on that later. So we're talking about the Bolas spider, otherwise known as the angling spider, the fishing spider, and, as we said before, the magnificent spider. Arachnido magnifico. I made that up. I don't think arachnido is how you say spider in Italian. But we're going to call them here the Rap'em Snack'em spiders and the Acne arachnid. Okay.
Which I'll mention later when we talk about its description. So let's taxonomize this bad boy. He's so magnificent, we cannot avoid taxonomizing him. So he's in a kingdom that we know, love, and are in, and that kingdom is, of course, Animalia. The phylum is Arthropoda. No spine here, just a bunch of juices inside of a shell. The class is Arachnida. So no insect, remember. Spiders are arachnids. They only have 2 body segments and 8 legs and 8 eyes. The order is Araneae. The suborder is Araneomorphae. The family is Araneae. The subfamily is, here we go, Certarachninae. Certarachninae. I think that's right. C-Y. I'm not going to spell that. The tribe is Mastophorini, like a mastodon. So it's like an elephant. The genus is Ordgarius. It's like a gregarious ord. Remember Ord from Dragon Tales?
Yeah, he was pretty gregarious.
He was very gregarious. He was definitely Ordgarious. If you're gregarious like Ord, then you are Ordgarious. The species is Magnificus. Ordgarius magnificus. You gotta be wearing robes if that's your name. And since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, Critter Groups. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal? Or what is the name of the collective noun? Or what is the term of venom for this animal? All meaning the same thing. So we're going to talk about spiders, since Bolas spider doesn't have a specific one. I think we've done spiders in the past, but let's go on with this one.
Okay.
All right. So if you saw a group of magnificent spiders, after crushing them, would you say, hey, that was an A, web of spiders? Would you say it was a B, cluster of spiders? Would you say that was a C, skittle of spiders? Or a D, harangue of spiders?
What was B?
Cluster. The worst word ever.
Cloister is worse than cluster.
I don't agree.
What about we've talked about this before, a moist cloister.
But isn't Cloyster a Pokemon?
Yeah.
That's not. I associate that with a cool ice water type. Not really with anything gross.
What was the first one? It was like a web, right?
Web.
That's definitely not good for this kind of spider. Harangue is really good, but it's too good. And what's 3? What's the third option?
Skittle.
It kind of looked like little like Skittles on top of like a mound of gross web, I guess. I'm gonna go with cluster. I'm not confident in that one, but let's do it.
You're right.
Why were you confounded?
I thought that you were very sure about it from the get-go, but you were just exploring the other options for the sake of everyone else.
Pretty much. No, I was working through the other options to like figure out if they were plausible. Web does like did you say that this was Bolas spiders?
No, it's just spiders.
Spiders in general. Okay, so a web was like plausible. And then the harangue would have been really tempting if it was just Bolas spiders, but even if it was, no way. It works too well. It makes too much sense. It's got to be a cluster.
No, cluster makes sense. It's a disgusting little patch of skittering animals. Do you want to talk about what this thing looks like?
Sure.
Because we have talked about what it looked like. We've hinted at it a little bit. You said it looks like crap. I called it acne arachnid. So let's hammer this out. So the magnificent Bolas spider is not as magnificent as you might initially think. You might think that it has.
I'm thinking
giant,
of a beautiful, iridescent, colorful spider.
Yeah, with like spirals coming off of it and rings, and it's 6.5 feet long, and that's magnificent. It's the king of all spiders, but that's not the case.
It speaks telepathically to me.
Yeah, it actually is the hive mind for all spiders. If you kill this one, you deactivate all spiders around the world.
Episode 1, Phantom Menace style.
Yes, but they are interesting to look at. If you ever have the chance to look one up, females in particular have a huge heart-shaped abdomen that is covered in white hairs and little orange pimples, or what looks like possibly sunspots, which is why I called it the acne arachnid. Looks like it's got little pimples. But it's also got like some black patterns, and between the black patterns and the orange sunspots, it's pretty intricate. One of them looked like the White Tree of Gondor. But overall, it's like, I don't know if you've ever played the game Okami. It's where you play as this like orange and white and black wolf that like paints its way out of problems.
No, but I've played it. That character in
Marvel
vs. Capcom.
Yeah. So yeah, niche reference there, but lots of white, lots of orange, and a little bit of black is what you can expect from this, from the abdomen of the spider. Near the sides of the abdomen, there are 2 yellowish, greenish horns that stick straight out. So they look, well, maybe less like horns, but thorns. They look really sharp. And there are also a bunch of spikes that stick out near the spider's bum area. And the cephalothorax, which is the head part of the spider, is much smaller than the abdomen and has both white and brownish hairs on it. And it also has kind of a little raised area on its head that looks like a crown with white appendages kind of spiking out. It looks weird. I don't think its eyes are on that, but I couldn't tell definitively. It's like was it the leaf hopper with that crazy thing coming out of its head?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a very miniature version of that. Like little helicopter face. The legs of the Bolas spider are kind of see-through, greenish or brown, and they have striped bands at the joints. But far from being a 6.5-foot spider, these guys are actually really, really, really small. What? So, Joe, can you tell us like what magnification of lens we would need in order to be able to take a nice high definition picture of one?
I sure cannot, but I can tell you something about its size. Welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show where we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send in audio of yourself saying, singing, chittering the words Measure Up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com.
One of these days you'll do it without breathing.
I'm going to try to do it as fast as possible without making a mistake, which is not my strong suit. Saying words without making mistakes, but
saying words without reading words without making a mistake becomes harder the more you try.
But we do have a new Measure Up intro this week from Henry. You know who this is, right?
I do.
Carlos?
It's my uncle.
I'm excited about this one. I guess I'll reserve comments for after you hear it. So here we go. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Are you ready to measure up?
That's a new level of commitment. I think that's the no Measure Up before this one has been that committed and that like powerful. So I think it might be the new standard.
He's obviously he's my uncle, so I've known him my entire life, and I've literally never seen even a quarter of that much energy come out of that guy than when he recorded that Measure Up. So it was startling that to know that he was
just
capable
the lung
of that.
capacity.
There was a little bit of it got a little pitchy near the end. You could tell that he was at the end of his rope, but he saw it all the way through. Great job.
That really, the struggle at the end just kind of added to the like.
It was so funny
to the drama, you know.
Is it gonna hold the jure as much as he held out the meh?
Just like that. That's just the new thing to strive for when you send in Measure Ups. Not exactly that. It doesn't have to be a boxing intro, but just that level of commitment.
I'm not saying that the people who have sent in Measure Ups in the past have been uncommitted, but
that's fair. I guess I'm searching for a word, and it's just blown my mind so much I can't find it. Maybe commitment's not correct.
Energy is good.
We say boisterous a lot, and I feel like it's only now been true.
No, energy is good. Energy!
Yeah. High energy, yeah. All right. Let's talk about the size of the female.
All right.
There is some sexual dimorphism between female and male size. The female is around 1.4 centimeters to 2.5 centimeters. Let's call it 2.5 centimeters. I like the decimal in there.
It's not even. It's not round. It's not anything.
How many Bolas females go into the length of the Murray River, which might be the longest river in Australia?
Oh, we've talked about the Murray River when we talked about the Murray or Mary?
It's Murray.
Oh, because there's a Mary River in Australia.
The Mary River turtle.
Yeah, with that turtle with the little like broccoli hat. All right, the Murray River.
I was worried that I had already asked you about the longest river in Australia, since we do Australia all the time because it has such weird animals in it.
But no, I think these are different rivers.
Well, here's a hint. The Murray River flows from the Australian Alps to the Southern Ocean.
They have Alps?
Everyone has Alps.
Do they?
Jamaica has Alps.
Just any mountains, the highest mountains, those are just the Alps of that country?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That there's only like 5 sets of Alps in the world.
Oh, well, like it's not actually like the highest set is called the Alps all the time. I think they just often do call them the Alps.
Alpine is like a region, so maybe you have to actually get into that climate or ecosystem in order to call it Alps. But who knows?
By all accounts, this is the longest river, but when you Google longest river in Australia, the Thompson River comes up, and it says it's longer than this, but that's not true because I'm pretty sure it flows into another river called, I forget, the something creek, and that's why it seems it's like its flow is so long, but it becomes another river.
But who's to say? It's all the same river if you decide to name it the same river.
Like the Sawgrass turning into 10th Street, you know?
Oh, we're just getting hyper
Specific with our references.
Regional here, yeah. Between Okami and this. All right. Rivers are usually really long, especially ones that are designated the longest in a big country. 1,000 miles sounds good.
Would you walk 1,000 miles?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now I got to figure out. Maybe I should say 1,000 kilometers or 2,000 kilometers. 2,000 kilometers, because we're working with centimeters here. And 2,000 kilometers means what? 2 million meters, which means I'm drawing a blank here. Oh. 200 million centimeters. So I'll divide that by 2 and get 100 million centimeters. Wait, 2.5. Darn it. 80 million. 80 million Bolas spiders. Magnificos. Yes, 80 million.
The correct answer is 100,320,000.
I was there.
Pretty close. You were there. The river is 2,508 kilometers or 1,558 miles.
2,508 kilometers, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I was right. I would have been a lot closer had I divided it by 2, but I divided by 2.5, which lost me that. Great. That was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm getting better at rivers, I think. I can put that on my resume.
Let's talk about male size. The size of the male Bolas spider. They are 1.5 millimeters.
Oh, that's very small.
That's right. They're way smaller. The 2.5 centimeters versus 1.5 millimeters.
Yeah, that's like the anglerfish.
It's like the anglerfish. It's like the argonaut. Yeah. How many Bolas spiders go into the height of the highest tennis ball catch?
I'm sorry?
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, there's a record for the highest tennis ball catch. As in catching it from the highest height, I guess. The thing about the Guinness Book of World Record is if you look up the record page, it just says that. And it says where they were, who did it, and the numbers. And it's like, what is that? What is the highest tennis ball catch? And they're like, you don't need to know that.
Somebody fire it from a t-shirt gun and somebody standing on a crane caught
it? Probably, and here's why. The catch was made by serial Guinness record breaker Anthony Kelly in Armidale, New South Wales, Australia. He also caught a tennis ball fired at 200 kilometers per hour, second, not hour.
200 kilometers per
hour.
Oh
200 kilometers per hour or 124 miles per hour. He caught 11 tennis balls in a minute blindfolded. In both cases, it was shot out of like a little, cannon, like a little tennis ball
pneumatic
cannon.
thing. He should be on Stanley's Superhumans.
He's called a ninja. He wears a gi when he does these things.
I am going to look this up right after this show.
And before you do, I will tell you, do not be disappointed when he's not snatching them out of the air. He usually lets them hit him in the chest or in the arm and then like catches them like a football, like
never mind, I'm
them.
not going to watch this. What a letdown. What's the point? It's
I mean, he has the record, so other people can't do it like he does.
Sure. Serial Guinness World Record breaker. He just makes up records and then breaks them.
That's the thing is like he caught 11 in a minute, right? I feel like if I did that enough, I would be able to break that. But the thing is that he was able to do it with a Guinness record guy there. So, because they're using a machine to fire it at his chest. All he has to do is
let it hit his chest,
and kind of cradle it, and until you have 11.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. More impressed by people who can catch arrows that are fired at them.
Well, he has 3 tennis ball catching based records.
So this is the highest, and the height of the highest.
Yes.
Man, it could go pretty high, I guess. I don't know, 1,000 feet, maybe. We'll say 300 meters. Sounds about right. And we're working with 1.5 millimeters. So, with 300 meters, it'd be 300,000 millimeters. And then we're going to divide that by 1.5. And we're going to get 200,000. 200,000 male Bolas spiders go into the height of this extremely talented man's tennis ball catch.
Okay. Final answer?
Yes.
The correct answer is 80,000 spiders.
I'm even more unimpressed.
The catch was from 120 meters or 393 feet and 8.4 inches.
Psh, it's not even a skyscraper. Somebody should just beat his record by dropping a tennis ball off of the Freedom Tower, the New World Trade Center.
I feel like the wind would just kind of take that.
Then you got to run. You got to compensate. You got to be on a Segway in order to catch it.
Yeah, it's like a 3-story building. I can do this.
A 3-story building? No, it's 400 feet. That's a 40-story building.
For some reason, I was thinking, well, this particular building I was thinking of has 100-foot rooms in it.
Very arched ceilings. It's great. It's impossible to heat.
A 30-floor. Yeah, I guess that's okay. You can't really see it that well that high up.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy. You probably couldn't see it at all.
Do you have any fast facts before we get into the major fact?
Oh, well, so we mentioned where it lives, which is Australia, but it loves the dense forests of southeastern Australia, which is the Queensland and New South Wales area. And as for their diet, they pretty much only eat moths and other small flying insects that they can catch. But other than that, I don't have any fast facts.
Okie doke. Okay, so the major fact is the brilliant bowl. Did you talk about how it looks like poop?
I mean, we mentioned that it's white with flecks of brown and black and orange in it. So
Bolas spiders in general, a lot of them will kind of just chill out for the whole day, and they're more active at night. They're nocturnal, but they stay in one spot. They're usually white with speckles or stuff breaking up the white pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So they look sort of like a chunk of bird poop on purpose, and they sit on a leaf, and they will even surround themselves with flat webbing laid flat, so it looks like splatter.
Yeah.
So they look like a bird pooped on a leaf, very convincingly. It's very gross. But at night they break their disguise and they go and hunt. So Bolas spiders are related to orb weavers, which are spiders that make these traditional large intricate webs that catch prey.
Mm-hmm.
But Bolas spiders aren't ones for tradition. They super duper like moths as food, and they just can't get enough of these hairy sackcloth butterflies.
So neither can Gandalf.
Well, he likes them as friends.
No, he was trying to eat it, but then it fluttered away and told its told its master, the giant eagle, which was going to go attack Gandalf, but he jumped on its back and rode it and mastered it.
his charisma was just so high that they were just like, you know what? I like this guy.
That was a Dex, Constitution, and Charisma saving throw all at once.
Typical spider webs are very, very bad at catching moths. Moths are covered in these tiny little detachable hairs that look kind of like dust if you look at them with just your human eyes. These hairs can sometimes even irritate humans and like give you like a little rash or skin issues.
Because they're chitinous.
The North American species, the brown tail moths, and their caterpillars. Yep. When moths come into contact with something like a web, the hairs kind of like slough off and allow them to escape. For spiders, it's like trying to have fun with a dirty, sticky hand that you got from a Boomer's ticket exchange.
Ew.
But it's a good metaphor because it's like when a sticky thing gets dusty or covered in something, it's not as sticky.
Man, those things are so much fun.
As seen in Toy Story 4, the Bolas spiders will produce silk just like their orb-weaving cousins, but instead of an intricate web, they produce one strand of silk with a sticky glob of viscous silk on the end. And some of them have like a horizontal line with several globs on it, but we're talking about the one glob guys. So it's like fishing with a booger.
But to them, a very big booger.
So
like a booger the size of a basketball.
For Measure Up, I was trying to find the size of the largest booger ever, and I couldn't find any numbers, but I did find some disgusting videos.
I'm sure you did.
Of doctors removing gargantuan little boogies.
When a doctor has to remove it, that's just wrong.
So when a moth gets close, the spiders will swing the bolus into the moth, catching it in its gross little globule. Since this blob is more viscous than normal webbing, it seeps through the moth's little hairs and attaches with a more reliable grip. But since they don't have a web with a wide surface, they need another way to bring the moths in close for the catch. To do this, they release a chemical that mimics the pheromones of female moths. So male moths get a whiff of it or whatever bugs perceive chemicals with, and they come in close, and the Bolas spider feels the approach with tiny little hairs that are sensitive to vibrations called trichobothria.
Trichomothria, more like it.
Well, like it's like little leg hairs that you can feel something flying through the air with.
That's pretty crazy.
So when you're walking through the woods, every spider knows you're there.
Well, every Bolas spider does.
If they have these little trichobothria. When they get close enough to investigate, they get bolused. But different moths have different pheromones. So can she just eat one type of moth? No. She has a full arsenal of different chemical scents, and she chooses based on what species is around. So if she thinks this one particular type of moth is around, she'll release that moth's preferred pheromone and feast on moth.
She just has like a whole like Hugo Boss catalog tucked away in that abdomen.
Yeah, she's a man-eater, I've realized.
Huh.
Because she uses female scents. She uses perfume, not cologne.
It's like the Photourus firefly that mimics female flashings of other fireflies.
Like it's Mardi Gras?
Yeah. Wow, it's man, it hits. That's got to be insanely accurate. It's throwing its glob at a moving, flying target.
Well, they fling it around. So it's like it's attached to the thread that they're controlling with one of their arms, and they kind of wave it around. They don't throw it and release it. So it's just kind of like...
They just hope that
it's more of a lasso than a bolus.
I mean, the fact that it's got...
That makes sense.
I don't know if we explained what a bolus is, but it's something that it's like usually a rope with at least one, but sometimes two or three weights at the end, kind of like balls attached to the end, and people and hunters use it to capture animals without hurting them too badly or killing them.
Like wraps around the legs.
Yeah, you throw it at the legs.
It's
and
used
just wrapped around.
by South American cowboys. I forget what they're called.
Rancheros.
That's it was a different word, but that is a good word.
I'm pretty sure it's rancheros. Rancheros.
I mean, that is a Mexican cowboy, but this is like a specific because they actually they're pre-Columbian boluses.
Man, I could go for some rancheros right now.
But it's also interesting to think like how we and birds and other animals can like mimic sounds. They learn to mimic pheromones and scents.
Yeah, so they're not. This isn't something that they just have. They're just like, okay, I need to concoct this. They have like a little chemistry set back there.
I mean, no, I'm sure they adapt into this. This is an adaptation, not necessarily something they like. Like if you introduce a new moth with a different pheromone, I'm not sure. I don't know if they can't, but I don't know if they can mimic that.
Well, it's kind of like the mimic octopus can mimic all these different kinds of species of other things, but it has to learn it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think saying the spider learns it is giving it a little bit too much credit.
Probably.
We need to give credit to the creator. No, don't give credit to the spider. Very cool. So this is a ruthless little moth eater. It's magnificent, I have to say.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. For you out there in Podcastia, show your colors. Be patient when hunting. And always remember to glob efficiently, like the magnificent Bolas spider here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey, LDT listeners, don't forget, if you want to support the show, we have t-shirts and hoodies and shirts for kids. Just head over to ldtaxonomy.com/taxonomy-tees and click the link to our Teespring store and peruse the selection. And as always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Efficient globbing is just so important.